Official Facebook fans who've talked about sweater vests, today's edition of CNN Student News goes out to you. I'm Carl Azus, now for our top story. President Obama introduces a new plan aimed at fixing the country's foreclosure crisis. He says the collapse of the housing market has led to job losses and companies shutting down, and he believes this new measure could help millions of Americans. But it has to go through Congress. Some Republican leaders have raised concerns about how it would work, and one political analyst questioned the fairness of the plan. Jerry Willis breaks down the president's proposal.
The wide-ranging program comes with a price tag of $75 billion. It targets two groups: homeowners who, because of falling real estate values, owe more than their home is worth. Group two, those families caught in the wave of massive layoffs.
Through this plan, we will help between 7 and 9 million families restructure or refinance their mortgages so they can avoid foreclosure. And we're not just helping homeowners at risk of falling over the edge, we're preventing their neighbors from being pulled over that edge too.
The multi-pronged plan will modify loans for borrowers who are struggling to make payments and facing foreclosure. The goal, bring payments to no more than 31% of a borrower's income. Refinance loans for homeowners currently making payments into a 15-year or 30-year loan with a fixed rate of interest. Give bankruptcy judges the power to reduce the mortgage debt of individuals in bankruptcy. Encourage lenders to cooperate by offering them a payment of $1,000 for mortgages that are modified successfully. Professor Nicholas Racinas runs Harvard's Housing Research Center.
How successful will be in part determined with how successful the stimulus is in putting people back to work. If people keep losing their jobs, we'll see more and more foreclosures.
On the other hand, the federal government is in a better position than any time before to influence the housing industry because it operates the largest lender to first-time home buyers. Plus, its cash injection into the nation's lending industry gives it leverage over banks. The devil's in the details, and we'll have more of those when eligibility requirements are released March 4th. Jerry Willis, CNN, New York.
See if you can ID me. I'm an Asian nation that's a little smaller than the state of Texas. I was founded in 1747 and I got my independence from the UK in 1919. Much of my land was controlled by the Taliban from 1996 through 2001. I'm Afghanistan, and I'm home to nearly 33 million people.
Of course, U.S. troops ousted the Taliban from power in 2001, but that group is regaining influence in the country and clashing with Afghan and U.S. forces. That is why President Obama is sending 17,000 new troops to Afghanistan. Atia Abawi, who is embedded with one division of the country's Logar province, reports on the military's adjustment to this new assignment.
A unit of the U.S. Army's 10th Mountain Division prepares to go on patrol. They've only been here for a couple of weeks.
Hey, as we're walking through the streets, make sure that we're kind of looking at the rooftops. That way, we're good situational aware around the area.
They're part of Task Force Spartan, a big increase in the U.S. presence in the region. And they are the first of tens of thousands to arrive as Washington shifts its focus to Afghanistan and dealing with a resurgent Taliban.
This has been kind of neglected, if you will. They've had free reign, been very unopposed here.
Adapting to their new mission isn't easy. The men and women here had been training for a deployment to Baghdad. 3 months before they were due to go, their destination changed to this remote and unforgiving terrain.
Yes, there's a lot of intricacies and culture training that we focus specifically on for Iraq. But a day-to-day insurgent fight, even in the cities of Pul Alam, the mountains of Logar or Naray or wherever, you're still sticking with the same basics.
Logar and Wardak provinces are close to the capital Kabul, which has seen an alarming increase in Taliban attacks. Some 3,000 U.S. troops will be based here, trying to prevent Taliban infiltration and getting the cooperation of local people.
We just had a walk through the Pul Alam District Center, where the Afghans were staring at the U.S. troops, but not necessarily because they were not happy that they were here, but because they were curious. This is the largest presence that the U.S. troops have had in Logar province since the war began.
The locals appear to have mixed feelings about the new presence.
We just have a request that they not go into homes, bombard our homes at their own will. or airstrike innocent people. We are happy if they bring us security.
And that's what these troops say they will bring, making this forgotten war today's priority.
I want these guys to go. I don't want to block up traffic too much more.
It's a faraway place for soldiers from Fort Drum in New York to find themselves. And it won't be long before the Taliban's expected spring offensive tests them. Task Force Spartan may provide early clues about whether a new influx of troops can work. Atiya Bowie, CNN, Puli Alam, Afghanistan.
Time for the shout out. What is the oldest historically black college or university in the U.S.? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it Howard, Cheney, Morehouse, or Tuskegee? You've got 3 seconds. Go! Cheney University was founded with the name the African Institute in 1837. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
The oldest, but certainly not the only, historically black schools make up about 3% of America's colleges and universities. But of all the African Americans who earn undergraduate degrees, nearly 25% of them graduate from HBCUs. As our special coverage of Black History Month rolls on, we hear from some of the students who attend these schools about their experiences there.
Howard, Morehouse, FAMU, Spelman, Xavier. Just a few of the nation's historically black colleges and universities, also known as HBCUs. HBCUs are accredited historically black institutions of higher learning established before 1964, whose principal mission is to educate black Americans. Today, over 300,000 students are enrolled at the more than 100 HBCUs across America. HBCUs don't just offer bachelor's degrees. Many of these schools offer graduate degrees and professional degrees, including medicine, pharmacy, and law. Here's what the students have to say about the experience.
I thought it was important to be submerged in my culture for at least 4 years before I go out into a place where that's not as prevalent.
Florida A&M University prepares you for the corporate world, for the real world, and it instills in you the values that you need, no matter what color, race, or creed that you are, what you need to be successful in life and to be a moral person.
We may not have sports like Duke University, or we may not have sports like UGA and UF, but we do have education. One thing about HBCUs, we strive for education.
Recognizing the higher education of historically black colleges and universities this Black History Month.
All right, yesterday's story about doctors using Twitter in the OR got some good responses on our blog. One thing we want to point out, though, is that the doctor himself wasn't directly Twittering. He was telling his assistant what to Twitter. All right, Dan writes, I think it's okay, but it all depends on what part of my body they are operating on. Good point. BJ says, if it was me, I would not want the whole world knowing that I have a tumor. Ditto for Matt, who told us I would not want my business or my kidney all up in the world. Philip thought it may be distracting for the surgeon. They should be concentrating on the surgery. And Addie says, I wouldn't mind, but I'm not sure I'd want to read the story later. Well, there are 2 ways you can interact with us online, our blog and now our official Facebook page. We have a couple new videos up. One responds to some of your posts on our wall. In the other, yours truly offers a little behind the scenes look at our studio. So log on to Facebook, search for Carl Azuz Official, and check them out. Before we go, a story you can really sink your teeth into. You are looking at about 20 tons of ground beef, literally. Thousands of burgers spilled across this Utah interstate on Tuesday morning when a truck that was transporting the patties crashed. Sadly, no signs of a nearby ketchup spill. The hamburger holdup lasted for a few hours because authorities had to chuck the mounds of meat before they could remove the truck. But whoever had that cleanup assignment really got a raw deal. We are going to be back tomorrow to serve up our last show of the week. Hope to see you guys then.